and the digital government, smart city, and other fields. According now, now the situation in the China for the digital economic in 2021, the scale of China's digital economy reached 45.5 trillion yuan, with a year-on-year growth of 16.2%, accounting for 39.8% of the GDP. So the digital economy will play a more stable role in the China economy in the future. So we can have a lot chances for both China and Europe. Thank you, Frederick.
Thank you, Gary. I don't know if any of you guys, Jean-Paul, Lucy, want to say something about what has been spoken until now. If yes, please go ahead.
Go ahead, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So the data infrastructure and the data technology and how China approaches it is increasing and growing so rapidly. Very practical example, because I love to give a practical example. I lived in Shanghai for 7 years. In the area where I lived, there was not that area not so much happening. And in 1 year later, there were 20 skyscrapers, and that was all around AI. So they create a whole industrial park around artificial intelligence, supporting and promoting startups. And they say, we are going to organize the World Congress around AI. And that really shows that China sets goals, very, very ambitious goals, sometimes very broadly defined, but they have a very concrete, clear action steps to achieving those goals. And that gives a lot of opportunities for European companies, of course, getting the right context, but helping China to achieve those goals. And that can be a win-win for both sides of the table.
Thank you, Jean. Let's continue with one question for you, Jean-Paul. What do you think is the direction of Chinese e-commerce in the next year or next years?
I thought about this question beforehand. I think if you would ask me this question 6 months ago, I would have completely answered it differently. I think that is mainly due to a few things. One, China has experienced, unfortunately, quite a lot of lockdowns. Myself, I was stuck in my apartment for 2 months with very little access to food and other things. The consumption pattern of Chinese consumers will change in the coming year. We see it in our brand portfolio, where we have, let's say, luxury brands, skincare brands, and more, let's say, FMCG food brands. You see that the trend of luxury is going down a little bit, where consumers are paying more attention to other categories. Now, one is very obvious, is of course your own health, your mental health, but also your physical health. A lot of attention goes out to that, a lot of talks around that. And one interesting thing I think that will be a trend in this year is sustainability. And China e-commerce is enormous. During Singles Day, millions of boxes of packages get delivered to consumers within 24 hours through cheap modes of transport. A lot of plastic, a lot of packaging material is used. But as of now, since last month, the number one coffee brand that is selling on Tmall is a coffee brand that promotes sustainability, sustainable packaging, and sustainable harvesting. This was a trend that I didn't thought was going to happen because China was not so busy with it. But given recent developments, the droughts that are in China, sustainability will be a real opportunity and a trend that the market will move to in the coming year.
Thank you, Jean-Paul. Let's see more questions for our speakers. Here, Lucy, what are the new comparative advantages of China market in the GVC of digital economy?
So as we know now, the high-end manufacturing and engineering technology and products in industries such as automotive, railway, and aviation are strong domains in Europe. And China not in advantage in both absolute low cost of labors, its huge market potential, knowledgeable talents, and integrated industrial chain. There are comparative advantages that attract foreign investors, especially in the manufacturing and the service sector. So in terms of the manufacturing, China's modern infrastructure networks, such as high-speed train and high integrated supply chains and the competitive price of the energy supply can help European investors achieve their cost effectiveness, and such as the ecosystem of handset manufacturing supply chain is largely in China, and many foreign countries are still sourcing from China. And also another advantage is China sits at the center of the battery supply chain of EV industry. So also there are advantage of using China as a business hub and get access to the potential clients along the Belt Road and the RCEP countries. And in terms of the trading service sector, despite the COVID, foreign trade has become the strongest driving force for China's economic growth. So in 2021, we can see that digital producer service has become the main part in the service trade, and China's financial service industry is rising rapidly in international competition and moving to the upstream of the global value chain of fintech, such as the mobile payment, internet finance. They are in a leading position in the global fintech companies. Thank you.
Thank you, Lucy. Question for Gary. Gary, what is the development of digital economy in China's industry?
Now in China, the digital economic is developing very quickly. As we know, digital economy is a new economic form that takes technology and information as the key production factor, digital technology as the core driving forces, and the modern information network and carrier. So the deep integration of the digital economy, the digital network intelligence, intelligent network of economic society is constantly improved, and the reconstruction of the economic development and governance mode is accelerated. Specifically, it includes 4 parts. Can you hear me, Frederick?
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. It's the digital industrialization and communication industry, specifically including electronic information industry, telecommunications, information technology services. The second part is increase the out.
Now, Gary, we're having some problems to hear you clearly. It breaks a little bit when you speak. I don't know. Let's try again.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, now I can hear you better. Yeah.
Okay. It seems network stable. Green.
Now it's bad again. It's also bad for you guys. Maybe if you maybe if you switch off your camera and then you consume less data through the camera, maybe we can hear you better. Let's try it.
Okay.
Let's see, like that.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you, but you're breaking a little bit. So let's try to switch off your camera, and let's see if without the camera on we can hear you better. You please try.
I have turned off my camera.
Okay.
Okay. And for the digital economic sector, industry digitization, this is to increase in output and efficiency about the digital technology. Industry.
No, you are sorry, Gary. You are still breaking. If you don't mind, maybe you can connect again or with another network or whatever.
Okay.
We can continue with you with the same question for you a few minutes later if you can reconnect with a better network. In this moment, I also want to remind all the attendees and the people that is watching us, if you guys want to ask some question, you no need to raise your hand. What you need to do is you need to write the question in the public chat of this room, okay? And then later we will check some of those questions with the speakers and we will read them. And of course, if we don't have time, and I am sure we will not have time to answer all the questions, we will do it 2 weeks later on September the 8th. We are going to have a networking meeting with the speakers. In fact, Jean-Paul is going to provide a keynote speech about digital economy in China, and then you all are going to be invited to join there. Gary, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, let's try again.
Should I continue my speaker or you change?
You can continue. It seems that now is much better, the sound. Yeah, the question for you was, what is the development of digital economy in China's industry? Yeah.
Okay. For the second part of the in digital economic is the industry digitization. For example, this including the industry internet, intelligent manufacturing, internet of vehicles, platform economy, and other intelligent integrated new industry models and new formats. And industry internet is a core methodology of digital transformation. The integrated application and the industry internet has entered a rapid growth period, forming six typic integrated application models, including platform-based design, intelligent manufacturing, personalized customization, network collaboration, service-oriented orientation, and digital manufacturers. Now, the application scope is constantly expanding in China through the implementation of the industry internet innovation and the development of project. China has cultivated more than 150 large industry internet platforms and more than 1.6 million industry enterprises served by the platforms. It has been widely deployed in 31 key industry categories such as raw materials, consumer goods, and equipment, covering 41 major categories of the national economic. Third is the digital governance, including the combination of technology and management with the typical characteristic of digital technology plus governance. And the digital technology such as IABCD, that is the IoT, AI, blockchain, cloud, and big data. This accelerates the integration with the real economy and play an important role in shaping the governance process and improve the accuracy and the efficiency of the governance. The last is the data value, including included the data standard, data confirmation, data labeling, data pricing, data transaction, data circulation, and data protection. Concerning the data value utilization, first is the data resource industry chain is improving and the data supply capacity is enhanced. At the present, the process of data resources based on the full life cycle value management, such as data collection, labeling, analysis, and storage is deepening. Second, the data capitalization with the further development of the data trading platform, the rules of data rights confirmation, and the construction of data property rights system have been further improved. And then the third and the last, the data capitalization empowers small, medium enterprises. Just as Lucy said, the debt credit financing has become the key to solving the financing problems of small, medium enterprises. As an effective proof of the enterprise operating conditions, data assets have become the support for enterprises to obtain financial services. Yeah.
Thank
Okay.
you, Gary. Thank you so much. Now we could hear you much better than before. Question for Jean-Paul. With some leading KOL having issues in 2022, how should brands approach KOL for their marketing strategy?
Yeah. So happy to answer that question. I saw also in the chat there was one question maybe around sustainability. Maybe perhaps at the end of the talks we can get.
You can answer it now if you want. I mean, yeah. There is not a rule. We can mix the questions from the audience with our questions, and no problem.
Yeah, so in the chat, Henning von Stein, he asked to me, how do you see the development of consumers' behavior towards sustainability? I think that is very a good question, an important question. So, like I said before, I didn't thought a year ago that consumers, or half a year ago, consumers would be sensitive to sustainable marketing strategies, promotions, or positioning of brands, that they would favor a sustainable brand over a non-sustainable brand. But what you clearly see is that Chinese consumers, when they receive a product through e-commerce, they like to see the product in premium retail packaging. So the product needs to be in a good box. The face value of when you, as a consumer, receive a product is really important. The face value when you get it the first time, the quality of the packaging, etc., determines the perception of the consumer. Is it a good or is it a bad product? Often, if you do it wrong, it has a negative association. So in terms of that sustainability, I do not really think a sustainability will packaging, retail packaging in the coming periods. I think really the sustainability will come from the sourcing of raw ingredients. Are the raw ingredients in a product? Let's say if it's a skincare product, does it have a sustainable source? Maybe if products are China manufactured, and not every type product, but maybe it's China locally sourced, China sustainable sourced, their consumers would be sensitive to. And that type of communication around sustainability, I think that will only pick up more and more in the course of later this year. And more brands will, because now there are very few brands that promote sustainability, but I think a big differentiator for brands in their positioning will be later on in this year and definitely next year, sustainability. Yeah, so I hope that answers your question, Henning. Yeah, maybe to get back to the question, your question, Federico. So with some leading KOLs having issues this year, how should brands approach their marketing? Yeah, it's very clear. There's a rule of thumb. If you work with two of the top KOLs, Austin Lee or Veya, and you do live streaming with them, and you put enough marketing budget to them, and working with some other influencers, that your brand would succeed. That is not happening nowadays anymore, because those two live streamers that I spoke about, they are not actively live streaming anymore. Do certain issues that they're having. So developing a brand and creating that snowball effect for brands Two other trends have come up, Kwaitantan and WeChat group buying. WeChat group buying, it's still a live streaming form. The influencers are often not on a lower level, but they do a live stream, but they have the group buying effect behind it. So as a group, more and more people buy the product. There are certain discounts, certain gamification, and that is really a trend that is growing very rapidly, and the trend is Kwaitantan exists already quite a long time, but the WeChat group buying model is really a trend of the last 3-4 months, where it's a clear opportunity when you go in. That is not only you're doing marketing, but sales-driven marketing. But at the end of the day, sales-driven marketing, getting products in the hands of people, is one of the best ways to do marketing, because word-of-mouth marketing is so strong in China.
Thank you so much, Jean-Paul. Question for Lucy. What is the investment and development trend in China market? For instance, status and trend of metaverse?
Okay, thank you, Federico. So the economic growth is slowing down globally, and the traditional economy is overproducing in China. And the key technology sector are still heavily dependent on imports. Therefore, China is aiming to speed up cultivation of the key inventive technology and develop capitalism to fund the local innovation and strengthen their supply capacity so that the external dependence will be massively reduced. At present, the domestic government lead funds has become the main body of PE and VC and the new investment trend. And the large-scale new big data computing infrastructure is an important investment direction. And in the consumer sector, as mentioned by Jean-Paul, the platform economy consumption models represented by the e-commerce such as TikTok, influencer marketing, group buying, and express delivery, etc., are driven by the development of the 5G, 6G, and the Internet of Things. So the metaverse is unquestionably the hottest realm in the near future, promoting connection and awareness. Even though the metaverse is not fully defined, aware of the big potential, China is now at the stage of the policy preparation with the establishment of the first professional association on the metaverse, led by the National Development and Reform Commission, organized by the China Mobile. So the goal is very clear to set the standards and be the global role model. And the Western is more focused on the developing of the infrastructure needed for ensure the metaverse seamless operation. And China is keen to explore more specific commercial applications. So it would be ideal if China and the Western countries could cooperate on the basis of complementarity. And in the green economy sector, China increased investment in the new infrastructure, such as the special bonds issued for local governments, and also set up a green funds for innovation financing and ensure the important products. And the political orientation strongly support for the EV industry, such as the high-end chips, the power battery. And there is also huge room for the growth in the new energy industry chain, such as the PV, solar, wind power, and hydrogen energy, and the pilot carbon market trading transactions. Thank you.
Thank you, Lucy. Question for Gary. Gary, how to promote the deep integration of digital economy and real economy? I can see Gary is having some issue with the microphone. Let's see if he can connect it. In the meanwhile, we can go to some questions from the audience. I can see here some questions some people speaking about China seems to be more and more isolated from the rest of the world, and some other questions, when you guys can see the return of Chinese tourists to Europe, what you guys can say about both things.
Since coming week, international students are allowed to come back to China. So a lot of students, and they were during COVID on their holidays, so they were not allowed, even they had a valid student visa, to go back to China from next week, Wednesday, if I'm correct. Beijing announced that international students are allowed to come back to mainland China if they have a valid visa to continue their studies. So I assume, of course, tourists, let's say, is of a lower priority for China. China depends less on tourism. So most likely, but that's just my personal opinion, that tourism maybe December or after Chinese New Year next year could be possible again.
Lucy, what do you think?
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, but it's like for European. Oh, sorry. So for like Europeans working in China, actually, I heard from some like friends, they can travel like smoothly with the support of the, like, for example, like the chambers, like the flights. They're so they come back to China, and with like 1 week to 10 days quarantine, well organized, and to their work and home. So it's like I agree with you. Maybe like around the Spring Festival of China, things could be much better. Yeah.
Absolutely. And for business travel, I think it is getting easier, because I know colleagues that are also in the banking, and they are traveling now between Guangzhou and Hong Kong, and they are able to go up and down. So it is getting much easier for business purposes. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, that's good news. Now, another topic, another day we can speak about this, is the price of these travelings, because the last things that I heard is one way from Europe to China, or from China to Europe, is 3,000-4,000 euro one way. I don't know if it's true or not. I have to say I didn't check it carefully, but someone yesterday told me, which is another. I mean, it's not a policy that doesn't allow you to go to China, but of course, it's a fact that not so many people can afford. But this is another topic. I have to say, I don't want to. Mary, yeah, going back to your question, how to promote the deep integration of digital economy and real economy?
Yeah, the integration of the digital economy and the real economy has different models and characteristics in different industries. So I just take the global trade, the digitization, as an example. Now there are many businessmen now doing practice in digital economic, and also many researchers have done many research works for the digital economic. For example, here is, I don't know if you can see this. Okay. One of my friends write a book called Trade Digitization. He has ever worked in the government, and also worked in the Alibaba, and he also created his own company. So he has many experience in this. I just make some take the global trade digitalization as an example. To realize the global trade digitization, we can start from the following aspects. Digitization empowers the whole process of the global trade. As we know, the global trade chain is very long. Production prepared and bring this period from the production delivered to the customer. There are many things to do. For example, if concerning the customer clearance, logistic service, warehouse, and payment, and any kind of this have to do. So the trade opportunity development, action, trade execution, and the trade services can be done. Digitization of the whole trade process helps to improve the trade efficiency, increases the trade opportunities, and reduce the trade costs.
Sorry, Gary, it's starting to break again. It's starting to break again. I think we got your meaning and we got your message, and well, thank you for that. Well, time is running. We have still a few minutes to go. In this moment, I would ask three of you for any final statement. We still have some questions and answer questions. Again, as I mentioned before, we will try to answer those questions and be together on September 8th in the networking group meeting. That will be a prolongation of this webinar. All of you guys will be invited to be there. Hopefully you will have the time to do that. So for our three panelists today, any final statement, any final message about China's digital economy? Let's say starting with Lucy, ladies first.
Okay, thank you, Federico, and thank you, everyone. So as China made the commitment on promoting green economy, which align with the EU goal for tackling the climate change and promoting the global sustainable development, which is a new value drive for the digital transformation. And despite the pandemic control will stay for now, the door remains open. So it's time for us to set out a new journey and focus on the areas of cooperation and build partnership on green and digital projects between China and Europe. So thank you. And if you have any further question, you can reach out to me after this meeting. Thank you very much.
Sure. Thank you, Lucy. Gary, your final statement, your final message to all the audience about China's digital economy opportunities.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Hello, everyone. I think just we in our field, we said that the consumption internet is the first half for the digital economy, and the industry internet will be the second half for the digital economy. So many of the companies and the research companies are focused on the industrialized digitization. So I think this area, there's not a lot can be done. I think almost every additional area field can be upgraded and transformed to the digitalization. So I think for the Europe companies can also do many things for the example for the technical cooperation, for the business cooperation with the Chinese companies. So if you have any request for cooperation in China, how to work, we can provide this kind of services for consulting or connected the Chinese government, because we have good relationship with Chinese government in Beijing and other cities, and also with about Dingdong and the big companies. We can work together to in the digital economic development for both in China and in Europe. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Gary. Jean-Paul, your final statement, your final message about this topic?
Yeah, absolutely. So I read through the questions just now a little bit, and the questions come up. How is a local brand more favored than an international brand? Can we still enter China? Is China not becoming more isolated? Definitely, it is more difficult to getting into China physically and with your business. But opportunity-wise, I would say really the time is now. China is one of the most competitive markets in the world. It is more challenging to get into the market, but being into the market, 4 months ago, I was living in China. Now I'm in the Netherlands. And when I see what is happening with people in the industry, in the car industry, in the e-commerce industry, friends of mine who work in that industry, China is still steaming ahead forward and amazing, and a lot of opportunities to catch. Trends still change. You just need to fight a little bit harder, but I think also the reward will be bigger.
Thank you so much, Jean-Paul. And that was let's say the last question in this very interesting digital event today. Thank you all for joining us in this event. We hope that all of you enjoyed it. Special thanks, of course, to our three great panelists, Lucy, Jean-Paul, Gary. Really amazing share the panel with you all today. Now, as a small gift for your contribution to this digital event, I am going to provide you our three certificates. You all may know that one of the main focuses of the UTech is the sustainability, and our 2 cents in this regard is planting one tree in Africa in the name of each one of our panelists to reduce CO2 emissions and to contribute with the environmental development. So here, let me see if I can make it. These are the three certificates. This one is a tree certificate for Gary Chang. This is a tree certificate for Jean-Paul Schmitz. And this is a tree certificate for Lucy Luo. Thank you so much, guys. I will send these three certificates later by email to all of you. So you can have it, and even you can share it in social media if you want. So thank you again for joining us, and hope you like our small gift. Big thanks again to all of you. Of course, to our audience, thank you for joining us today. Please join us at our LinkedIn China Alliance group. We hope to see you soon at our next events and activities. And always remember, technology obliges. Thanks and take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Federico.
Bye.
Thank you,
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Jean-Paul and Lucy.
You are currently the only person in this conference. You are currently the only person in this conference. You are currently the only person in this conference.